All right, the hour being 7:30, we will kick off the Board of Health meeting for the 7th of June. As typical, we want to give a quick COVID update, see how the town is.
Sure. So definitely we were seeing an uptick in numbers. I did send the board the most recent numbers, and as you will see, last week's reporting as well as the week prior kind of held steady at 10%. So nothing greater than the week prior, however, still at a higher number. That being said, we're in a much different place than where we were when the rate was at 10% last year. Obviously, hospitalization rates are much lower. Vaccination rates are up. People are continuing to getting their booster vaccine. So, I mean, looking back, we were at January, we were about 23% positivity rate. So it's definitely, I think this time last year when we were at 10%, it was definitely an alarming time where now I think we've learned to live with COVID and learn to kind of use best practices with vaccination combination. So I don't think we'll see it disappear indefinitely. Obviously, schools will be getting out soon, so it'll be interesting to see what that means for case numbers. A lot of people will obviously be getting together over the summer, but I think we'll probably stay steady with where we are. We are still holding the routine clinics Trish is doing on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and she's still getting a really good group of individuals interested in getting the booster, which is great.
Great. All good to hear. Appreciate that. Any other discussion or comments about COVID?
Just really quickly, and I don't want to call you out, Megan, but Megan Leary, our deputy health agent, is on the call. So I just wanted to introduce Megan to the board members. Right now, Megan, we have Richard Beauregard, and unfortunately, I mean, maybe one day we will be back in person again, but Richard is our chair for the board. We have Mona Bazani, who's a board member, as well as Stefan Traub. So Carol Johnson is not on the call as of right now, but I'm sure you'll meet her along the way if you haven't already. She does a lot with the farmers market, so she is in and out of the office. So just want to welcome Megan. Like I mentioned in my email, I think for the time being, I'd like to kind of facilitate the plan reviews just so Megan gets a good handling on what it entails. And then once she's comfortable, she would take over this role.
Hi, everyone. It's great to meet you all.
Welcome aboard, Megan. And I'm glad we're able to introduce you and get you kicked off at the beginning. So welcome. All right. Good. Next on the agenda was a 735 septic variance for 3 Butch Songen Circle. And I believe, John, are you on for that?
I am. I'm here, Mr. Chairman. So for the record, my name is John Glossa Engineering, 46 East Street in East Walpole, and I'm here representing Mike Cheeley, who's the owner of 3 Butch Songen Circle. So Butch Songen Circle, if you headed up Summer Street towards Norfolk from South Walpole, pretty much when you almost get to the Norfolk line, there's a street goes off to the right side, Harrison Ave. It was known as Harrison Estates. These houses, I think, were built in the mid to late 1980s, and so now a lot of them, we've done a bunch of septic system repairs there. I could try to share my screen here if you want to. Let me see if it works.
John, is it easier if I share the screen? Are you looking to pull the plan up?
Yeah.
Okay, let me pull it up quickly.
Oh, wait, I think I already have it. Can you guys see it? No?
John, try it now. I just made you the host, so you should be able to now share your screen.
Okay. Hang on. Now, can you see it?
No.
No? Okay, let's try it again.
John, are you just looking to
Hang
show
on,
your
hang on, hang
the
on,
septic plan? Because I do have it up on my screen if it's easier.
Oh, my battery's very low.
Oh, there we go.
Hmm,
Now we're seeing your screen.
okay. Hang on. Sheesh. Made this difficult for myself. Boy. Well, I'm sorry. Maybe you should have done it.
That's okay. Let me just.
I have to, hang on, I have to plug this computer in.
Can everyone see the plan now? Okay, perfect.
Okay, can you see it now?
We can.
I'm sorry about that. So, this is the, and can you see my cursor?
So John, I have my shared screen now. So
Okay.
you talk and I'll be your cursor.
Okay, so anyway, you can see it's the corner of Butch Song and Circle, Harrison Ave. Some of the area in Harrison Estates has high water table, and this is one of the lots that does have a high water table. So we were unable to do a perk test.
Yes, he definitely ran out of battery.
Oh no. Okay. So I'll kind of lead off of what John was saying. So it's not something that you haven't seen before. It was a high groundwater situation. We were unable to do a perk test. So we did, John did take a sample of the parent material and did send it to the lab. So what he designed the septic system for is based off of the information we got back from the lab. So it's a suitable design. And the health department has no issue with the variance request or the plan that was submitted.
Good. Any questions from anybody? I don't know if Mr. Glossa will jump back on, but I think at this point, looks like we have all the details. Anybody want to make a motion?
I can make a motion. So in regards to the request for local upgrade approval for 3 Butch Songan Circle, the board has no concerns and approves of the upgrade to the failed septic system.
Motion has been made. Do we hear a second? I think Mona's on mute, but we will take that as a second. Motion. Oh, she's still going. So I'll make the motion. I'll do the second formally then. That was made. Motion's been made and clumsily second. Is there any other comments?
Nope.
Great. The motion passes for the variance for the septic system. And
Rich, just real quick, I noticed that we didn't approve the meeting minutes yet for the May 17th meeting.
we didn't, and we didn't officially vote on this either. So let me vote first on this, then we'll jump back to the meeting minutes. Did Mona, looks like she jumped back off. All the technical difficulties. Oh, and Mr. Gloss is back.
So can you hear me? Did you guys already vote?
We did.
Did you?
We're not going to tell you the answer either.
Sorry about that. I did kind of say my computer was about to die and it died, so I plugged it in, but.
Not a problem. We're all getting through a couple of bugs today. So we lost Mona. We were in the middle of voting, and great, now she's back. So let's grab, while we have the time, let's vote on the approval of the septic variance and then we will jump back to the meeting minutes and stay back on track. So I'll poll the members. Mona? So we lost her again. Stefan?
Aye.
I'm back. Can you guys hear me?
Perfect. And Mona, we'll vote on this.
Aye.
Perfect. 3-0-0.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry about all of the confusion.
Not a problem at all. Sorry about our bouncing too. So
Okay.
thank you so
All
much.
right, thanks. Good night.
Thank you, John.
Okay, let's continue in the backward fashion. Let's hit the meeting minutes real quick. From May 17th, were there any comments from the minutes?
I didn't have any.
None here either.
Quite a bit, and I didn't see anything either, so we'll entertain a motion for the minutes.
Okay, make a motion in regards to the May 17th, 2022 meeting. The Board of Health approves the minute.
A second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other comments? And we'll vote to approve. Stefan?
Aye.
Mona?
Aye.
I also. Meeting minutes are accepted as written. All right, now somewhat back on track. Let's hit our 7:40. Apologize for the delay. And we have Norfolk County Mosquito Control Project presentation.
Sure. So I'd like to introduce Caitlin O'Donnell. She is the entomologist for the Norfolk County Mosquito Control Project. So I'm sure you're very familiar with the work they do. They do amazing work. Every time I have a summer intern, I call up Dave Lawson, who is the director for the Norfolk County Mosquito Control Project, and I have the intern go to the site. It's right in Walpole, and they learn so much about what the Norfolk County Mosquito Control Project does. So I just thought it'd be a great time of the year for Caitlin just to kind of do a brief presentation, and then obviously if the board has any questions or potentially would want to do a site visit, I think the door is always open. But I'll let Caitlin take it away. I did, Caitlin, just make you the host, so you should be able to share your screen to present.
Yep, thank you. And thanks for inviting me. Always happy to do outreach events. And we really just want to be a resource for everyone in our county. So if you ever have any questions that are mosquito related, water management related, feel free to reach out to us. So I will start my presentation and I'll try to be brief. I know you have an agenda to follow. So as Melissa said, I'm the entomologist at Norfolk County Mosquito Control District. I just will start with some general background information. Insects, which mosquitoes are an insect, they are the most diverse group of organisms on the planet. So there are more types of insects, more species of insects than of any other organism on the planet, more than plants, more than bacteria, more than mammals. So we really are dealing with a very diverse group of organisms. And just something to keep in mind, since we are talking about a pest insect and trying to get rid of a lot of insects in this presentation, there really is an overwhelming number of beneficial insects. Most insects you come into contact with are going to be harmless, beneficial for the environment. It's estimated that the ratio is 1 to 1,700 pests to beneficial insects. So when we're talking about mosquito control, even in the group of mosquitoes, we really are focusing on just a few species that we know are both a nuisance and a disease issue. So we really are trying to focus in on those species that cause issues. So insects are all cold-blooded. They have 6 legs, jointed appendages, a segmented body, an antenna. These are all characteristics that all insects share, with a few caveats to the rule. And that means that insects share these things as well. They are in the class Insecta. They're all in the order Diptera, the family Culicidae. So all mosquitoes belong to the same family. In the world, there are 41 genera of mosquitoes and over 3,500 known species of mosquitoes. But of those 3,500 known species, only a few hundred actually vector diseases, and even fewer bite humans. So, as I said earlier, we really are focusing on a very small portion of mosquitoes. In Massachusetts, we have over 50 species. And of those over 50 species, we really focus on about a dozen as far as both nuisance and disease control goes. And this is just a little smattering of some of the very interesting species that we find in Norfolk County. A lot of different mosquitoes have very interesting markings. I like to look at them under the microscope. Some of them have some really beautiful coloring and patterns on their wings and legs. So they really are all different, even though when you're looking at them and maybe trying to swat them away, they may all look the same. So it really is important to know a lot about mosquito biology when you're trying to control them, because depending on what species you have, they are going to take advantage of their environment in a different way, and we're going to have to alter our control methods to suit that mosquito species. So the general mosquito life cycle follows 4 life stages. They start as an egg, and they need standing water for 3 out of these 4 life stages in order to survive. So they need standing water for the egg, larval, and pupal stage. After they hatch out of their egg stage into the larval stage, they feed and swim around and go through 4 stages of larval development. These are called instars. They then will molt into their pupal stage. This is just like a chrysalis or cocoon for a butterfly or moth, where they're rearranging their whole body to go from looking like these little grubby things into looking like the mosquitoes that we know that fly around and bite us. So this is a period of metamorphosis for the mosquito. They then emerge from the water and fly around looking for a host to feed on. They will mate, lay eggs, and start the cycle all over again. And an important thing to note is that only female mosquitoes actually feed on a host. The male mosquitoes will drink some sort of sugar source just to keep their energy up, so they can be pollinators, they can drink nectar, any other source of sugar that they can find. And you'll note this one difference, that male mosquitoes have these very fuzzy antennae and females don't. So these fuzzy antennae are used to pick up the wing beat frequencies of their female mate in order to find them in the environment. Mosquitoes can use many different types of breeding habitats. So they can use a woodland pool that will then dry up later in the spring and summer. They can breed using water that's sitting in tires. This is a very important breeding habitat for some invasive mosquito species that we're trying to monitor. They'll use toys and gardening tools and pots, potted plants left outside, and they'll also use salt marshes. And these are all different types of habitats that we have to deal with in Norfolk County. So depending on the species of mosquito, you'll know what you're going to find in what type of habitat, and then you can tailor your control method for that habitat and that specific mosquito. You also need to know about timing. What time of year will they be in their breeding habitat in the water? What time of year will they be flying and looking for a host? It really all comes together in order to help inform our control methods and control decisions. So mosquitoes are able to take advantage of these many different habitats because they are so small. They also breathe through a siphon, so they don't actually need to breathe dissolved oxygen in the water. So they can take advantage of really gross habitats, very mucky habitats, water that has a lot of organic content in it, and very small habitats. So this is a famous photo of a lot of mosquitoes all breeding in the top of a plastic bottle, or a picture here that has just a little water droplet that has a mosquito pupa in it. So they really can take advantage of all of these little tiny habitats that other insects can't take advantage of. Another adaptation is that many species have eggs that can lay dormant until they become inundated with water. So they really are able to live in this dormant stage for a long time until their habitat becomes flooded. And the reason that we care so much about mosquitoes and implement mosquito control is because of the diseases that they carry. So they really are the most dangerous animal on our planet, in addition to ticks, I would say. They carry all sorts of diseases, but in Norfolk County, we're primarily concerned with two. We focus on testing for West Nile virus and Eastern Equine Encephalitis. So both of these diseases, they are both viruses. They have similar transmission cycles in that birds are the reservoir host. So it takes a mosquito biting a bird that has one of these viruses and then biting a human or other mammal in order for that virus to be transmitted into the mammal population. So there are many steps that has to happen, and it takes a while for that virus to build up high enough in the bird population throughout the summer before this spillover event that we call it happens. Same with Eastern Equine Encephalitis. These are both vectored by different species of mosquitoes. So I have some historic cases of both diseases statewide that kind of can give you an idea of how they can really thrive in different environments. So the biggest thing to note is that EEE is endemic to Massachusetts. It was actually discovered in Massachusetts in the Hockomock Swamp area. And the first really recorded outbreak of EEE was in the early 1930s. So there was a very large outbreak then. And then since then, we've seen cyclic outbreaks up and down, until they have started to become a little bit less predictable over the last 20 years or so. And I'm sure you'll remember our last big outbreak was in 2019 and 2020. West Nile virus, on the other hand, is not endemic to the United States. It was introduced in 1999 into New York City. And since then, it really has been present every summer. We just know that it's going to pop up. The degree to which it pops up is really what changes. So West Nile virus does really well in very hot and dry years where the primary vector numbers are higher. And it is more of an urban disease. So we see a lot more cases in Boston and other metropolitan areas. The opposite is true of Eastern Equine Encephalitis, in that the primary vector of that disease really needs high water levels, and they need consistent water levels. So they need their habitat to be wet all throughout the winter and all throughout the summer in order for their population to build. So both viruses, although they have those similar transmission cycles, they're vectored by different species of mosquitoes that need different things from their environment. And then I threw in this graph of human cases. This is this one of cases in Norfolk County. And I'll just note that I don't have 2021 on here for statewide. We did have 10 West Nile virus human cases last year in Massachusetts and no EEE cases. And then in Norfolk County, the numbers follow similar trends, but are obviously lower. And we had no human cases in Norfolk County last year. So I kind of went over that. Mosquito control, we try and use what's called integrated pest management. In the world of mosquito control, we refer to it as integrated mosquito management. This is a really important technique. It's used in many different areas of entomology, agriculture, public health, and the idea behind integrated pest management is that you use many different tools to make up your toolbox in order to control the pests that you are trying to control. And this will really reduce any risk of that pest being able to become resistant to whatever control method you're using. It will try and reduce any impacts to the environment. So we're really using many different tools and using the knowledge that we have about the biology of mosquitoes in order to more economically control them. This includes many different aspects: surveillance, source reduction, so getting rid of mosquito breeding habitat before they're able to use it, the use of larvicides and adulticides. It includes research and outreach. And in my position as entomologist at Norfolk County Mosquito Control, I'm responsible for these 3 items in red for surveillance, research, and outreach. Surveillance is one of the most important parts of integrated pest management because you need to know where the mosquitoes are in order to effectively control them. So throughout the summer, we are constantly setting traps. These are examples of what our traps look like. So if you ever see them out in the environment, just know that that's what they're there for. They're there for mosquito surveillance. And each type of trap that we use is targeting a mosquito either in a different stage of its life cycle or a different stage of its feeding and egg laying cycle, or looking for specific species. So we really try and tailor these traps so that we can get as many mosquitoes of our species of concern as possible. We then will submit adult mosquitoes to the Department of Public Health, the state laboratory, and they will test them for both West Nile virus and Eastern equine encephalitis. We have these traps all over Norfolk County. We have at least one site in every single town. So we really try and cover the county as best we can and submit as many species from each town as we can so that we can have accurate data as far as risk levels go. And the state will take the testing data that they get from the mosquitoes that we submit, and they will make these risk maps for communities. So going to the Department of Public Health website is really useful during the summer because they'll update this weekly, and you'll be able to see what risk level your community is. So you can always go on and look for Walpole. This is just a screenshot of what the risk map looked like in 2020 because right now it's all green. So there's nothing really interesting to look at there, but this is what it looked like in 2020. This they just implemented over the past couple of years, so it may look different than the last time you looked at it, but they're trying to kind of make it a little bit more dynamic and have you be able to interact with the data a little bit more. So it's always good to go on there and keep up to date with what's going on throughout the summer. So research is a very important part of integrated pest management because you need to know a lot more about the mosquito than you think you do. Biology and ecology, the habitat that they use, the disease ecology of the different viruses that they vector. We need to make sure that the traps we're using actually are working, and we need to make sure that the control methods we're using are actually working. So I spend a lot of time doing efficacy testing and researching different ecology of the species of concern that we are really trying to target. And we like to always explore new methods and stay on the forefront of technology in our field. I also really enjoy doing outreach events and report what we learn to the public. So I do a lot of health fairs and summer camps for kids. I've done some school presentations. We are always producing educational materials. I did update our fact sheets last year. I believe I sent Melissa copies, but if not, then I can definitely send more. We have a lot of information on our website, and I have some screenshots later on just to make you more familiar with what the website interface looks like. We also are always trying to get out the message of source reduction on your property. So it's really important that everyone tries to make their yard as uninhabitable to mosquitoes as they can. So always dump out any standing water. Make sure that you're not breeding mosquitoes on your own property. And a lot of these places are things that residents don't always think of as mosquito breeding habitats and where their mosquitoes might be coming from. And we'll go somewhere and see maybe a bird bath that the water isn't moving, and tons of mosquito larvae in there. And once you point it out to them, they really will get it and they'll remember to dump it out after that. So sometimes it really does just take that one-on-one interaction. We will always tell residents to protect themselves by using EPA-registered mosquito repellents or insect repellents. So that would be DEET, and you really just need 30%. You don't have to go crazy with 100% DEET. 30% is just as effective. Picaridin is a really good option for people who are really bothered by DEET. It doesn't have that scent, and it's just as effective. And oil of lemon eucalyptus is one of the natural repellents that the EPA recommends. It's also very helpful to wear loose-fitting clothing with long sleeves and pants, closed-toed shoes to protect your skin. And I always recommend permethrin-treated clothing to people because that is really the best repellent to protect yourself from ticks as well. And we get a lot of calls from people about ticks. I think people are just as worried about tick-borne disease as they are about mosquito-borne disease. And I would just like to throw this article from now a long time ago in because they found that it was a very high level, but that a Victoria's Secret perfume actually worked pretty well for mosquito repellent. So this is just a screenshot of what our website looks like. You can always direct people to our website. They can make requests online. They don't have to call us, and they can just click on the service request button. There are a lot of other tabs here where they can learn a lot more information. And once you click on that service request button, you can put in your own request for your own property. We also have a lot of different information under the surveillance tab. So we have a map, and you can click on your town and then see weekly mosquito reports and mosquito data throughout the summer, which we try and keep updated, but if it gets really busy, it's kind of hard to stay on top of that. So usually it's updated once again by the end of the season. And just so you're all aware, this is our spray schedule. So Walpole is done on Tuesday nights. It will be done tonight if the weather holds. We can't spray if it's raining or below 55 degrees. So there are weather stipulations, but Walpole is on Tuesday nights. So if people call asking about that, they can either go on our website or contact us before about noon on Tuesdays of that week. And these are really the big points that I try and tell our residents. Protect yourself from mosquitoes. Be vigilant of symptoms throughout the summer, especially later in the summer in September. That's when the risk of these mosquito-borne diseases are higher. And you can put in your larvicide requests in the spring. So we need to get those in March and April. And then in the summer, you can start making your adulticide ULV requests at the end of May. So that is my contact information. You're always welcome to email or call the office if you ever have any questions. And I would be happy to take questions now if anyone has any. I tried to make that as quick as I could.
Thank you, Caitlin. That was great.
You know, Caitlin, you're probably aware that the Board of Health has a pretty long-standing opposition to all the building that we have in the wetlands, and we do what we can to try to educate. Is there anything that we can do as a board to help or require people who are building in wetland areas or applying for or requesting to do some work in wetlands or near the wetlands? Is there anything? I know the spraying occurs. Is there, being near a wetland, is it something that you can still request a spray, or is there any controls that we could add?
Yep, you can definitely still request a spray for the neighborhood if there's a problem. We do remind people that the treatment that we do from the truck is just a temporary knockdown of whatever is flying. So it's not preventative like a barrier treatment might be. If they are near wetlands, they should definitely call us in the springtime so that we can add them to our spring larviciding. And then all of that first emergence of mosquitoes would be dampened by doing some larviciding in the wetlands if it was appropriate and if we were finding larvae. We also have a lot of water management work that we do to try and get rid of that standing water that might be causing the breeding. So if they are near a wetland and the building blocks up a stream or blocks up a culvert, we have our field crew go out and hand clean that. So they can call the office, and we have a wetlands coordinator who would look into what would be appropriate for the site too. So that's a good option. But it's tough with everybody wants to build in a wetland, so it is tough.
Area that seems to be the only area that's left. So
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm very thankful myself for the Norfolk County Mosquito Control. Every year I call them. I've been explained that I need to call every year during March just to control the larvae, make sure there are no eggs. And I just spoke with them last night. And actually, as we're speaking, I think they're coming in this evening to spray my area. I live right across
Okay.
the plant, and they've been very, very efficient. I'm very thankful. I think, what we could do as a Board of Health too, in the Department of Health, and just like, because a lot of people didn't know that they can call the Norfolk County,
Yeah.
mosquito control just to come in and spray. And it's very important to instruct them that, instruct the local resident that they need to call in March, because this is when they can control like the larva, from, you need to treat the problem from the beginning, not, just later on during the summertime, because I don't think it'll be as efficient as if they treated it early in the year. So I think this is something that we would need to focus on better. And this is like, maybe we need to do more outreach programs for the residents, and just, or flyers just to instruct them. Because a lot of people didn't know that, and I've been spreading that,
Yeah, it's true. A lot of people don't know or are surprised that it's a service that we have that is, funded by taxes and everything, so they don't have to pay anything for us to come out and spray. They're always surprised by that. So,
And
Yep.
Caitlin, they do the larvicide spraying. It's in April, so that's something that someone wouldn't really have to request, because that's the whole.
we do both. So what we drop from the helicopter, that's all wetlands that we have mapped out, spent years and years mapping out what our highest breeding spots are, and they're usually larger wetlands that we treat from the helicopter. But we also will take calls from people who have maybe a little pond in their backyard that wouldn't be big enough to be on our aerial application. And we'll come out and check it, and if there's larvae there, we'll treat it. So they don't need to know whether it's on our bigger application or not. If they have a question, they can ask, and we'll put it in, and if it's on, it's on, and if it's not on, then we can go check it.
I have a question for more so for Melissa. For our standard language that we use for any building that's in wetlands, do we have anything that recommends or provides information for Norfolk County mosquito control?
We do. So I believe the motion states, it talks about avoiding low-lying areas in the grading that would, produce ponding water. It talks about reaching out to the Norfolk County Mosquito Control Project, potentially for that barrier spraying or barrier application or spraying.
Great. Thank you.
Well, Caitlin, we do appreciate you taking the time to educate us, and I hope we can continue to bring some of the education out to those who are going to be impacted by it for sure.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all your effort.
Thanks. All right, have a good night.
Thank you much. Right, that was great to see. Now we're a couple minutes late. We have some lifeguard variances. I know we have Susan, you're on for the Education Cooperative, correct? I'm sorry, you're on mute.
Yeah, okay. Yes, so I'm representing the Education Cooperative, and we want to renew our variance.
Perfect. Any objection to the board, from the board to, I know we have an order here. We want to attack the Susan's variance first, the lifeguard variance, then we can release her. No objections. Let's go out of order, and we'll start with the Education Cooperative. That one. Try to pull up the variance. There we go.
So I can share my screen if you would like, and I can also share my screen with the letter that was submitted to the Education Cooperative from the board last year as well.
Do anybody have need to share, or are we in a position to discuss? And Melissa, if you wouldn't mind, I guess if we could.
Sure.
Oh,
So let's
we
see.
have from last time.
So we're just granting the variance, right?
So this is a share screen of the variance request. Again, similar to in years past. So it does touch upon that it is a therapeutic pool. The pool is 3 to 4 feet deep, includes a handicap wheelchair accessible ramp, and used primarily by students with moderate to intensive special needs. The surface area of the pool is 990 square feet with a maximum bathing capacity of 66 people. So the tech cooperative is requesting the variance from having a lifeguard at the pool. The pool is used by students with accompanying staff Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 2:15 p.m. The tech currently has the following written safety protocols in place and trains all staff on these safety protocols every year. So the safety protocols are each student must be accompanied by at least 1-to-2 ratio based on the determined needs of the student. At a minimum, 1 CPR/first aid trained staff member will be present whenever a student enters the pool. And at no point in time shall there be more than 12 individuals in the pool at any point in time. The tech staffs 4 nurses on a daily basis at the school, and the nurse will be available and in the vicinity of the pool at all times while in use. The pool water is tested 4 times a day to ensure proper chlorine levels are maintained. A CPO is on site and does monitor the pool daily, doing evaluations and cleanings twice a week of the pool. The pool is outfitted with a camera system that allows monitoring the pool 24 hours a day. And then for additional safety measures, they do note that there's an AED located in the pool area. All tech instructional staff is CPR and first aid trained annually. The pool is locked 24/7 and can be accessed through the use of a key card by select staff. And the tech does post the following warning signs: warning, no lifeguard on duty, and no entry without tech staff present. They do share the pool with the Bi-County Collaborative, which serves the same student population as tech, and obviously they would maintain the same protocol. So the tech is requesting the variance because of the ongoing situation and issues with hiring and retaining a lifeguard for the hours needed. The would allow their students in need of therapeutic pool services greater access to the pool. With greater utilization, tech will be able to safely and effectively service our student population, noted by the executive director. So this has been a lifeguard variance in place since the pool was renovated. We've had no issues with this pool. We think that they handle it very well. We did an on-site inspection. We will be going back out to do a final re-inspection. So obviously, once the variance is approved, we would need to do our final inspection in order to issue the permit. But we have no issues internally with this pool lifeguard variance request.
Okay, great. So there's no past incidents in the past year.
Correct.
Okay. Then if anyone has any questions, I'll make a motion.
So Mona, I did just pull up this is the letter that was sent last year, and it pretty much outlines what the motion was made. And then this letter is sent to the tech cooperative along with the indemnification form, which needs to be completed and returned to the health department prior to the issuance of the permit.
Yeah, I did read that in the package. Thank you, Melissa. Okay, so I'll make a motion in regards to the lifeguard variance for the education cooperative. The Board of Health and based on previous various applications and good performance, grants the request for the lifeguard variance to continue with the same conditions previously approved. Do I need to list all of them, Melissa, or can we just copy them from?
I think probably just reiterating the previous variance request, and then what we would do is just mirror the letter that was sent out last November to the tech cooperative. And then if there's any additions that individuals would like to add, we can definitely note that in our motion.
Okay, so we'll reiterate the conditions that we stated in a previous grant approval. First of all, this variance will expire at the end of this school season, and they must provide the appropriate safety and first aid equipment. They must post warning signs in a conspicuous location to include warning, no lifeguard on duty, children under the age of 16 shall not use this pool, adults should not swim alone, no alcohol shall be permitted in the pool area, no persons consuming alcohol shall be allowed to swim. And we also request that a written agreement to indemnify the Board of Health, the Town of Walpole Board of Health is required, and to hold the town harmless and the individual members of the Board of Health from claims for any incident or accident in the pool area. And the indemnification agreement should be signed by the operator of the pool, a trustee or agent. Also, at least one AED be obtained and maintained in close proximity to the pool in the pool area. And also, the facility should pass an opening inspection. Anything else, Melissa, that needs to be mentioned?
No, I think that's good. But I'm just noticing the last sentence there, and it mentions that, you know, that the pool, they're receiving the variance because they've demonstrated past good performance. But it does state with all the pool regulations, and there will be no children in the pool or pool area. So I think we would revise that, because obviously this is for the student population. So that's something that we would definitely modify.
Okay.
What about the only difference I saw between the one this year and last is that second bullet, children under the age of 16 shall not use the pool. Is that something we are removing?
That's something I think we should remove as well. I think the whole thing is that the warning is just to note that there's no lifeguard on duty. The children under 16, obviously it's not really applicable to this pool. So we'll modify this letter to delete that line item, and to also modify this last portion where it says, and there will be no children in the pool area. So we'll keep the portion where it says that they've been granted the variance because of the past good conformance with the pool regulations, but we'll take out that second part.
Okay.
Okay. Motion's been made and edited. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further comment? Then we'll vote. Ramona,
Aye.
Stefan,
Aye.
and I also. So pending a final inspection, the board will grant the variance.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Then we'll go back on. So our first one was the Swan Pond variance. That is one we have seen before.
So correct, this is a repeat variance request. This is pertaining to, if you're familiar with Swan Pond, they have 2 swimming pools on site. So this is for the use of the upper pool, as the upper pool is an adult-only swimming pool. The lower pool is staffed with lifeguards. So there's been no issues with this pool in the past. I believe so. I'm sharing just the request, well, actually the approval letter from the board from their last variance request submittal, which was last May. And the variance was approved, obviously with the certain stipulations and conditions that the variance does, end at the end of the pool season. They are required to provide safety and first aid equipment. They must post the language that's written, the no lifeguard on duty, the no children under 16, adults shouldn't swim alone, no alcohol is permitted, and no one consuming alcohol is allowed in the pool area. And then they must obviously pass an opening inspection and obviously supply the Board of Health with the signed indemnification form.
And this is Anybody want to pose a motion regarding the Swan Pond?
I do have a question. Is the language is slightly different, though? We don't have any mention of AED or anything. What's the difference between this and other variances?
So I think the whole thing was last year for the AEDs, I think it was more a recommendation. It wasn't made a requirement because it's not a requirement in the pool code. So it's up to the board if you want to make it a requirement. I think the tech cooperative decided to do that on their own because they actually might be required to, because when I was researching for AEDs, schools are required to have AEDs. So that's potentially why they have it on site there. But I know some of the other public pools do not have an AED on site. So it's something for the board to think about. A lot of the hotels do have them on site. But if you look at like the town pools, not all the town pools have them on site. The rec program has AEDs, but they're not specific to the pool locations. So I think it's something the board should think about if it is going to be made a requirement. Because there are a few that don't have them. I believe it's the hotels and the schools that do currently have them.
Yeah, the reason I ask is I think in our last meeting we did, and I know it's for obviously hotels, it just we could consider that different, but I think we are requiring for other locations an AED. It says at least one AED is available in the pool area for the Fairfield and the last one we did.
So the only thing is that, and I definitely support the board on that, is I think I told you, I went to town meeting and we did request 10 AEDs to fill in the gaps of town buildings that do not have AEDs. And they are a 36-week out purchase. So it's something that potentially they might not be able to have for this pool season. I don't know, potentially maybe buying fewer items, they wouldn't have an issue. And then ultimately with a pool like this, you'd want it faced outside, so it's actually visible because it's not an indoor pool. So it would require a thermal protective casing that would be able to adhere to cold months and obviously more effectively in the summer months when people are utilizing that space.
The only reason I bring it up, I think we should at least establish some consistency when making the variances. And I guess make a position as a board as to whether or not we require it or not.
Sure.
I think one of the reasons we had required or in the past was when we're doing the variances. I think that might be where our line is. So if we have lifeguards attending a pool, and then we're probably, that's kind of like the town pools. We have lifeguards that are available. They are on site. I don't think that would be as critical, especially that situation for AEDs. I think our approach should be to have them all available at all the locations. I think our priority was one to start off with those who don't have lifeguards in attendance because they're trying to grant the variance for those.
So this might be a reason, because if you're familiar with the location, the lower pool and the upper pool are about 10 feet from one another. So that could potentially be why with this one wasn't flagged even on last year's.
Yeah, maybe we can, I think we should continue. We could grant this variance, but I think we should reach out to them and propose this as a heads up for next year's variance, that this is something we're highly leaning towards as a requirement, and see if they're able to plan ahead for that way. It is kind of tough to be able to give them a variance but mandate something this quickly, especially if they're in the same boat the town is with a time issue with trying to order them.
That sounds good.
I agree. In this, can we at least make a recommendation formally make a recommendation in our approval that they consider an AED?
Yeah, it's a good idea, Stephanie.
Okay.
Do we want to make a motion?
I can attempt a motion here.
Well, we could do, if you want, just basically would just reiterate the last variance with the additions that we said. I don't think I have to go through all of it again.
Yeah. Okay. So in regards to the lifeguard variance for the homes at Swan Pond at 178 Clear Pond Drive, the board grants the approval with the same conditions listed from last year, but in addition highly recommends that the property management considers acquiring an AED for their pools.
I'll second that.
Motion's made and seconded. Any other comments? Vote. Stefan?
Aye.
Mona?
Aye.
I also. So the variance with the other recommendations is passed. Then the next is the other variance. Alyssa, if I can ask your magic again.
Yes, so this is home to suite. So let me just pull this up. Does everyone see my screen?
Good.
Excellent. So this is the same variance request as last year. So it's mostly used by guests on weekends. They do find it difficult to staff a full-time, fully certified lifeguard, and therefore they are submitting the same variance request as they had in years past. I believe the pool's been operating for about 2 to 3 seasons now. So it's something that was granted last year. They've been in good standing. We have not had any issues with this pool. Again, they would be required to fill out the indemnification form and send it back to the town. They are required to post the warning signs. In addition to that, they are required to have a certified pool operator on site at all times while the pool is operating to monitor pool chemicals and pool regulations during the time of operation. And they are required to obviously test per the pool code 4 times a day at a minimum. They do, similar to the other hotels, at least one AED is to be maintained on the property and in close proximity to the pool area. All front desk is trained in emergency response procedures. It is under lock and key, so those individuals looking to utilize the pool would be required to obtain a pool key card at the front desk in order to enter the pool area. And it is monitored as to, there's a log of who's coming in and who's coming out. And it does mention in the variance approval letter that someone on site is CPR, first aid, and ED trained, or certified rather, during all pool operating hours. And all of this is contingent upon an opening inspection and passing condition.
Any comments?
No,
Wanna
no
make-
incidents within the past year, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion in regards to the homes to suites Lifeguard Variance. The Board of Health, and based on previous various applications and good performance, would like to reiterate the variance granted to the facility on June 21st, 2021, with the same conditions listed.
I'll
And
second. Oh, sorry.
Made and seconded. Any other comments? We'll vote. Stefan?
Aye.
Mona?
aye.
And I also. So motion passes 3-0. Again, pending approval, the final inspection, then the granting of the permit variance will occur. All right. Let's next section, planning board request for comment. First one, site plan for Dunkin Donuts on Providence Highway.
So this is the existing Dunkin' Donuts. If you're familiar with the area, it's on where Route 1 and Union Street are, kind of near the Norwood line. So what they're proposing to do is right now there's a single drive-through lane. You'll probably see this in a lot of the fast food establishments. They're trying to, I think, streamline the backlog of what a single line can cause. So they're trying to break it up into 2 lines for ordering, and then it would go back into 1 line for picking up your product. So the applicant is proposing to add a second drive-through window, to widen the existing drive-through to 2 lanes. They will be reconfiguring some parking spaces and obviously regrading the lot as needed. And they will be adding an outdoor dining area. So for under the jurisdiction of the health department, we would obviously want to make sure that they have adequate storage for dumpsters, which it seems like they're constructing a new one because potentially where they're looking to install this second lane will encroach on that. So they will be adding a new enclosed dumpster. And we obviously would recommend that they include the recycling component as well, because obviously Mass DEP does have a ban, and cardboard cannot go into the trash along with other items that are not allowed in the trash anymore. And then ultimately, right now, you're probably familiar, we do our food permits based off of seats in an establishment, and right now they're considered a small, but with the addition of these outdoor seats, it would bump them to a medium-sized food permit. So that's the permit they would apply for in the future. And then this is just kind of showing an overview of where they'll be coming in. So you have Union Street on this side, you have Boston Turnpike, Route 1 on this side. So similar layout. The only thing is they'll be adding, if you see right in this little vicinity, they have one menu board, that's the original lane, and then they'd be adding an additional menu board, and then everyone would merge into a single lane during the pickup of their product, and then they would exit out. So this area right in this little area is the outside dining patio.
Oh, nice.
Any questions from anybody? And this is for request for comments. They want to make a motion regarding?
I'll make a motion in regards to Dunkin's site plan approval. The Board of Health has no specific concern at this time, except that we like to recommend a recycling container to be included with a trash container per the Massachusetts waste disposal ban. And also the Board of Health, the Health Department also notes that the addition of outdoor seats would be, would change the required permit to a medium-sized food establishment. Right, Melissa?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, motion has been made and second. I will second it. Break the trend. Any other comments? Then we'll vote. Stefan?
Aye.
Mona?
Aye.
I also. So the planning board comments have been made. And then next on our agenda is the definitive subdivision for Heidi Street.
Yes, so this is a definitive subdivision plan for 24 Heidi Street. It's a proposal to construct a single-family residence on an existed undeveloped lot. It's looking to make some improvement to the existing roadway and obviously add a home. It will be a 3-bedroom home. It does not have capability to hook onto town sewer, so it will have an on-site septic system. Our department did conduct soil testing back in 2021, so May 19th of 2021. As of this date, we haven't received any septic plan submittals, but it's my assumption that potentially maybe they're waiting to get this definitive subdivision approved first prior to submitting and doing all of that work. But that being said, it is a definitive subdivision, so the board does have to say that they're approving or denying the request. If from this plan that you did receive in your packet, you will see that this is the outline of the wetlands. Unfortunately, it doesn't show the buffer zone because it is just the definitive subdivision plan. We'll probably see a little bit more detail. However, I did do it to scale, and the property that is looking to be built on is not within the 100-foot buffer zone. Close proximity to wetlands, but not within the buffer zone. So the board would, I would say the main concern would just be making sure that a septic plan is submitted for the proposed home. And then obviously this is just a definitive subdivision plan. So this is just pretty much the allowance to subdivide and potentially build on a lot. So we would be seeing this again. But at this time, we would be really looking in for more information for plan submittal for their septic system.
Do you want to make a motion on this?
I can make a motion. In regards to the definitive subdivision at 24 Heidi Street, the board has no concerns at this time, but to date, no proposed septic design plans have been submitted, and that would be a requirement moving forward.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded. Further discussion? We'll vote. Stefan,
Aye.
Mona,
Aye.
I also. The motion passes. 3-0-0. Next on our agenda, we're down into Conservation Commission requests for comments. First one is the Union Street.
So this is for a notice of intent. I just want to pull up quickly. So this is for an existing building, again, very similar to where the Dunkin' Donuts is right now, actually. So this is the Dunkin' Donuts parcel, so it is on the corner of Union Street and Route 1, coincidentally, and it's just to the rear of that parcel. And what is, it's two existing buildings, and they're looking to, the project consists of repairing, replacing, and expanding the paved parking area and circulation drives, pavement stripping and new curbing, and parking lot islands. They are also looking to do external and internal building improvements, such as removing, replacing, or adding doors, stairways, ramps, and platforms, and utility improvements, including a new gas line, a new sewer pump and sewer line, and electrical upgrades, including a new transformer with pad and lowering of a water line to provide additional required cover. The proposed project, as you will see on this map, is located within the 100-foot buffer zone, and the property is connected to town water and will be connecting onto town sewer. So,
But
what
it's
was
already
it?
an existing building, Melissa?
Sorry, what was it?
It's already an existing building, right?
Yeah,
That-
so I know the board has a stance where we don't approve of, work being done in the wetlands, but in this case, it's actually more of an improvement. So again, I think it would just be mindful of the normal stance of making sure that grading doesn't cause any ponding, and making sure that the applicants are aware of Norfolk County Mosquito Control, and that if they do have wetlands around them, which they do, that they are eligible for a certain type of mitigation, whether it's, the application barrier or spraying.
What's the intended use of the parking lot? I'm not familiar with the business.
So right now it's more of a garage space, and I believe it's like a trucking garage. So I don't necessarily know if they're changing the use of that as much as they're trying to kind of upgrade it. If you see it, it's definitely weathered for sure. So I think just making those improvements.
Any other discussion or comments? Does anyone want to make a motion? I will make a motion regarding 295 Union Street. The Board of Health has no specific comments regarding the activities that they're proposing, and like to reiterate to the landowner that they must be conscious about any standing water or any other potential areas for mosquito or other vector concerns, and also reminding them to try and take advantage of the Norfolk Mosquito Control, their advice and guidance.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any other discussion? Then we'll vote. Stefan?
Aye.
Mona?
Aye.
I also 3-0-0. Next is about Northwood Estates.
So this, you actually have two for Northwood Estates. However, we did break it up into two different motions, because there is one for a land disturbance permit and one for a notice of intent. So for the first one on the agenda is the notice of intent. So the notice of intent, and again, it's a similar description for both, but they're requesting comments of a notice of intent and land disturbance permit for Northwood Estates, which is off of Delaney and Dover Drives. The applicant is proposing to develop the property located on Delaney and Dover Drive and construct a series of roadways with utilities, drainage, and related grading to provide access and egress to 13 single-family dwellings. And the proposed project is located within the 100-foot buffer zone, and the properties will be connected to town water and town sewer. So this is just showing the proximity of the proposed dwellings, if you see them in here. And then it's showing that a portion of them are going to be within the 100-foot buffer zone. And then this is showing, so this is just the property, this is showing how the wetlands are on both sides of the property. And this is obviously proposed roadway and obviously showing it without homes being built on them. So similar to the previous motion where in this case, it's not already built construction. So I think the board would be in opposition for building within the wetlands. And then they would be on town sewer and town water. And ultimately, this is, as long as it's a public way, they would be under the solid waste and recycling of the town.
It's just being request for comments. We can make those statements that we're opposed to the building of wetlands and other requirements. This isn't a support or deny.
Exactly. No, this is not a definitive subdivision. So this is more just providing comments. And the comments technically, I guess, can be the same for both of them. We just wanted to tease it out. So then that way, if conservation needed them separately, we would have them separately.
Anybody want to make a motion on those two?
Okay, so I'll make a motion in regards to the Northwood Estates, notice of intent, Delaney and Dover Drives. The Board of Health is not in favor of new construction within the 100 feet buffer zone. But if the plan is approved, the Board of Health recommends to them to follow the standard practice for mosquito control in contacting the Norfolk County Mosquito Control Department for support in regular spraying and regular gutter cleaning.
I will second. Any other comments? We will vote on this one for the Conservation Commission. Stefan?
Aye.
Mona?
Aye.
I also. Comments are posted for the Norwood Estates. And the next one, Melissa, any objection to us just duplicating those comments? And
No, I think that's perfectly fitting for the application.
okay, so I'll make a motion that we duplicate the comments. We hear a second.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. We'll vote. Stefan?
Aye.
Mona?
Aye.
And I also. So the second motion regarding Northwood Estates has also been made. And let's continue on. That ends the official, and then new business was the summer schedule.
Yeah, so we still have one more meeting. We have the third Tuesday of the month of June. So we still have June 21st. So I don't know if it's something where the board wants to think about it. I know Carol's not on, so potentially maybe if the board members have conflicts in July and August that certain dates work better, you guys can always email me. We can always decide on the 21st if you feel like that's a better fit when Carol's available.
We can do that.
I'm good with that too.
All right. Anything else that we need to? So there's a long one today, so
I think that was good. Yeah, that was one of our longer ones.
I just got back from Arizona today, and I'm still jet lagging in with all the allergies around. Can't breathe.
Well, it's always fun to come back to a long meeting, huh? All right, if there's nothing else we have, I will make a motion to adjourn. And we have a second.
I'll second.
And we'll vote. Stefan
Aye.
and Mona.
Hi.
I also. I'll thank you very much for your endurance. And the meeting is adjourned, and we'll catch up on the 21st.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye now.
Take care.